What's up everyone? Today I want to share one of the greatest minion witch builds I've played so far in Path of Exile 2 Dawn of the Hunt, and it uses the skeletal storm mages. But we don't just have 5 of these storm mages or 10 of these storm mages, we have up to 20 at all times. And these things do so much damage. They're probably, I've tried every minion and I've tried a lot of the specters that people are saying are good, and these still seem to be the best minion to stack a lot of. And we can get up to 20, which just destroy everything. Tier 15 maps are easy with this, and they've got really good boss damage too. I'll show here. I beat Tier 3 Zavesh this morning, really easy. And because you've got so many minions, they're like a distraction, so you don't even have to do all of the mechanics. So yeah, they're surprisingly good. With the right gear, easily do Tier 4. I was mostly just trying this out, but it surprised me just how powerful this build is. So I want to get into it. I'm going to show you, the gems, the passive tree, all that stuff. I'm going to go over how the build works and some tips for managing minions and, not feeling so slow and feeling like your minions are always behind you, that kind of thing. So let's get into it. And if you find this build guide useful, do consider subscribing. I make a ton of PoE2 content. And I also stream if you want to come hang out, ask any questions, see these builds, live and worked on before they make it over here. But yeah, that's it. Let's get into the video. Okay, so let's go over the playstyle of this build and how the minions work and how it plays in a map. And I'm going to show it live in a map. So if we just jump straight over, I'll do this. If we go into the gems, here's the setup. We want to get as many skeletal storm mages as possible, and we prime those to do as much damage as possible. That's like where we funnel as much damage as we can. Right now I'm on 18. You can get up to 20 if you were to take some things off. You can easily get up to 20 if you were to tweak a few things. There you go, but we're now on 20. But I normally run about 18 of these with a couple of healers. So you take like 2 or 3 clerics. You want to take one of these skeletal archers, and these are just like the sacrificial lamb. These are literally whenever you do your buff, they go down first. They just take the hit for you. Then you have your skeletal storm mages, and then you have your frost mage. The reason we have one frost mage is so that we can cast their ability. We funnel all of their points. We put all of our passives into empowering their command ability and reducing their damage. So we basically get this, super powered command ability that does this big double blast, which is really strong. If you want to have more of that, you can just, have 3 of them, and then you get multiple charges of this like frost blast. So, that's a really good AoE clearer. I normally just run 1 because the minions just wipe stuff out so fast. While leveling, you might want to have, while in early endgame and gearing and stuff, you might want to have more of those frost mages for AoE clear. But that's kind of the setup. You just have the single use ability, and then your minions do everything else. The only other thing you do is you do pain offering. So you will pick a minion and you'll just sacrifice them basically and buff all of your other minions. So you'll just do this, and one of your minions will get put on the tower, and then everyone goes red and gets a buff. So if we just walk forward and try and find a mob, there's a tier 15 map. That's the gameplay. This is the gameplay. You just walk forward. You buff your minions. When you buff your minions, we have a thing on where we take a little bit of damage, so we can just heal through that. You don't need to use that support gem. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The only other thing is, if you've never played minions before, we do have a command minion button. You go in your keybinds, there'll be a button to command your minions, so you can use that to make sure you're always directing them. They can open chests for you. Make sure you're directing them in ahead of you, so they're not always lagging behind you. Just keep putting them in front of you. Yeah, that's it for the gameplay and the playstyle. It's a really, really simple playstyle. The only other thing we have is we have conductivity, which we can use on bosses and strong mobs to lower their lightning resistance. But let's go through the gems. So on the gems, it's very straightforward. We have frost mages, and like I say, frost mages, we funnel all of our power into their command ability. So we take bidding, which makes their command skills deal more damage. We take cold penetration to deal more cold damage. Commandment, which gives 100% recovery for their command skill, but reduces their damage significantly. And then we take spell echo, so it casts twice. So this is the setup for, this really powerful ability that we cast. And because we have no spell damage, we have nothing that really makes us strong, we're inheriting our minion's ability there. So it's like we're casting an ability, but it's fully powered up by our minion. So it's a really good way to have something to press. Next we go for our storm mages, and here we go. Minions deal 30% more damage. We go for muster, 7% more damage for each different type of persistent minion you have summoned. So this is persistent, so it doesn't count for the unearthed scorpions. Okay, so then the minions we have the frost mage, we have the storm mage, we have the archer, the cleric, and then we have this thing here, the terracotta soldier. Now this thing is basically a specter. You can go to Act 2, the Lost City, I believe. I'll correct myself in somewhere if I'm wrong, but I think that's where you go. And you basically, you bind the specter, and it is 10 spirit. It is a 10 spirit minion, so it's basically like a free minion to have, and this just gives you the extra 7% damage for having an extra minion type, persistent minion. So yeah, this is one way to get an extra little bit of damage. That's what we've got. Now, if you're playing Infernalist, you'll also have a Hellhound, which is another 7% damage. I'm going to do a little section soon going over like Lich or Infernalist and the differences, but I did like a day of each, and they are like at endgame trying them both out, and they are both very strong. One has more damage from the minions, the other has more minions. So they're both very, very strong, but if you have that, that's 7% more. But that's it for muster. Then we have Arcane Tempo, 20% more cast speed. We have lightning penetration for obvious reasons. Then we have skeletal archers. Now here, these are just, we have one, and it's just when we do this, we try and get the archer with it, because that's what it's for. That's all we use it for. So when they go down, they heal allies around them, and then when we use a skill that targets minions, it will focus those. So that's the aim, is when we do click like randomly, if they are nearby, they will take the click. They will go up on the tower for us and take the sacrifice. So that's that. Then for the clerics, I've got last gasp, so that when they do fall, they stay for 4 seconds extra. And then meat shield, so they take less damage but deal less damage, because they're mainly just going to be healing. That's it for the main abilities. Then we have conductivity. On there, I've got increased magnitude, so it reduces the lightning exposure, the lightning resistance even more. And then finally, we've got Pain Offering. This is the thing that buffs all our minions. So we have, it takes 1 minion and gives us 32% increased attack and cast speed. So here we go for Ablation, which gives 30% increased buff effect. That takes some of our life. Now, if you don't like this playstyle, you see me potting after I use it. It's basically what you do is you cast it, and then you just insta-pot. It's just something to get used to doing. If you don't like that playstyle, take it out. But it gives you, it gives increased buff effect, so it's worth doing. And then I go for Persistent, so they last longer, so you don't have to keep recasting it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything there is to know. Okay, now let's talk Lich or Infernalist. And this is a hard choice, but honestly, I've played them both, and they are both really, really good. They both seem to have the same amount of damage, same amount of clear speed, just in different ways. So I would say it's preference. With the new patch they added, you can change your ascendancy if you run your trial again, but you're not locked in. But they both work really well. So if I open up the passive tree, if you're playing an Infernalist, the benefit of playing an Infernalist is you have more spirit, which means you can have more minions. So one, you can get the Loyal Hellhound, which means you have one more minion, which is a 7% damage increase to your Storm Mages from muster. Additionally, you can put the Loyalty Support Gem into the Hellhound, giving you a 10% damage reduction. So the Hellhound will take 10% of the damage for you. And then when you come down this side thing, you take loads of the life, and you get to here. You get to this bottom ability here, reserve some of your life, and you get +1 max spirit per 25 max life. So your strategy here is taking as much life as possible. We even take these two minor nodes here for 6% increased life. So we stack as much life as possible, and all of that turns into spirit. Right now, my gear isn't perfect. I can make a lot of upgrades, and I'm on 598 spirit, which is a lot. So you can get a lot of spirit, and getting life on gear is great. You're more defensive. Life is a great thing to have on your gear, and you're getting spirit. So it's kind of a win-win. The reserve is like you have a little bit less in your life pool at the bottom left. It's like 25% is gone at all times, but you have so much spirit that everything just gets melted. So yeah, I really like this playstyle. And if you want to like experiment with specters and stuff, this is a good one to do it, because they are like 60 to 100 spirit each. So I kind of like this for a full minion build. Okay, now if you're playing Lich, here's how I would play it. So I've made a build guide for this, a full build guide. We've got the gear, the gems, everything. And I've done this for Infernalist, but right here, I've shown what I would take on a Lich, because, I played it on a Lich first to make sure it worked. And I got the build here, a planner, so I'll show you. The first thing you want to do is go down here for Unholy Might. So if you take Unholy Might, it means that your allies nearby will get Unholy Might, and your minions count as allies. Unholy Might is 30% extra damage as chaos damage. As you go down here, you will take Blackened Heart, 4% increased magnitude of Unholy Might per 100 max mana. So the reason we do that is basically the way on Infernalist we're stacking health to get more spirit, to get more minions. On a Lich, we're stacking mana to get more Unholy Might to make our minions stronger. It's kind of like Lich, you have less minions, but they do a lot more damage. Infernalist, you have more minions, you don't have the buffs. So that's kind of how it works. Additionally, after this, I would probably go for this for your mana regen, and then I would go for the gem, and I would just put a juicy minion gem in, like minion damage, minion cast speed, maybe max energy shield, that kind of thing. I would put something like that in there because it gets doubled, so you'll get a really good buff to your minions. Honestly, the minions on Lich are a lot stronger. So yeah, that's the build. Play whichever you prefer. I like them both. I think I'm swaying a little more to Infernalist, but they both do really well. Okay, now let's go over the gearing. And I just want to say quickly before we get into this, I've had some people say like, oh, you shouldn't show such endgame gear because most people can't achieve that. And that's not the case in my videos. I'm not a baller. You know, I don't have the Gucci gear. A lot of the gear I show is a worse version of the gear. For example, I've got these two Ventus gold rings. Some of these go for many divines. Mine were like 5 exalted because they're bad. You know, they have like minus to resistance, but they make the build work, right? So like I've got a 40 spirit and +2 to minion skills amulet. There is much better amulets out there. This is just, it makes the build work, and it doesn't, you know, it didn't cost a lot. So just get what you can get based on, you know, how much you've got. Just try and find what you can find, buy what you can buy, and just play the build. And as you play more, you'll get more drops and you can get better gear. Don't feel like you have to get the best version of every piece. And like, if you can't get that ring, you'll just have 20 spirit less than me. That's not even 1 minion. So try not to stress too much about the gear. I'm just trying to advise of some good pieces. First up, the spirit pieces. There are lots of pieces that give spirit. First up, the chest piece can give up a good chunk of spirit. You can get like 60 spirit on your chest piece. You can get like 50, 60 spirit on your amulet. You can get, if you get these Ventus rings, you can get like up to 20 per ring. So that'd be 40 if you could find 2 of those. The other places we can get a lot of spirit is on our scepter. You can get a increased spirit roll. So this is a % increase. This is very important, a % increased spirit. Try and get a really good roll of that. You can see here, I've got 598 spirit. If I take this off, I go down to 411. So this piece is very important, very important. Then we have the shield. On the shield, we have +1 to maximum spirit of 50 max life. So again, this is a very good way to get a lot of spirit. And then finally, the boots. The boots give us undead minions have an 18%, wait, it goes up to 20% reduced reservation, which means we can have a ton more. So that's all the ways to get our spirit up and the spirit costs down. The other things we're going to go for on this build is plus levels to minion skills. So that can roll on the helmet. I've got 2 there. It can roll on the amulet. It can roll on your scepter. I've got 3. I think it goes up to 4. It's all detailed in the build guide, but off the top of my head, that's where you can get plus levels to minions. And then the other things you're looking for is like your resistances. If you're playing an Infernalist, try and stack health because that's how we get more spirit based on our ascension. If you're playing a Lich, try and get mana everywhere because that will give you a higher stack of your unholy might, meaning your minions will deal more damage. And that's it really. That's the things to look out for. Obviously, get your resistances, try and get good resistances, try and get energy shield, you know, standard stuff. But yeah, that's everything really. The only other thing is try and get a good scepter. Your scepter is going to give you a big damage increase. You want to get like allies deal more damage. You want to get plus to minion skills. You want to get allies have better cast speed. That's a good one. I don't have that. You want to get allies have more life. That's a pretty good one. Allies have more crit is a good one. I use an Omen Scepter, which gives you malice. So if I click this and you click critical weakness, it says here, critical weakness causes hits against the target to have increased crit chance. So basically, by running the Omen Scepter, your minions will have a higher chance to crit. If you don't want to run an Omen Scepter, you can run a Rattling Scepter, which will give you 2 skeletal warriors for free. That will also give you 7% more damage from your muster. The passive, the gem that we put in our Storm Mages, you can run that. I personally like Malice. I feel like you do get a damage boost from it. But that's everything really. That's all there is to it. There's nothing else you really need. Okay, now let's go over the passive tree. We're nearly finished. On the passive tree, you want to get anything that empowers your minions or anything that gives you energy shield. That's it really. Then when we're going through it, you're going to see some like weapon set stuff and like some things are a different color. Ignore it all. I'm not doing weapon switching anymore on this build. I did it on a build before and it still looks like that, but there's no weapon switching. We take all of these. Anything that's highlighted, we take. So we take all of the spell, we take all of the minion increased damage, and then we take all of the minion max life. We take the minion cast speed and attack damage. Then we come down and around, and we get energy shield, we get increased life and revive faster, energy shield, this whole energy shield cluster here. Up to here, we get all of these minion nodes. There's like life, revive faster, some damage, movement speed, things like that. Then we want to come up, and from here, let's go show the left side first. There's this cluster here, which has 20% max life and chaos resistance, which is good for like the end game bosses and a lot of like the end game content. Up here, we've got some minion damage. I would probably get this one as well once we have more points. Then coming along here, you want to get this energy shield cluster. Come down into here, and I would fill this out. Once I've got more points, I'm going to fill this out. You want to fill this out. This is just like revives faster, cooldowns, elemental resistances, really good stuff. And then up here, you want to get all of these spirit nodes. These give us more spirit, so we get more minions. Then back up to here, we've got more minion life. I would grab all of these. I wouldn't personally go for these resistances just because we don't have enough points to get everything. I'd probably leave these off. Back at the top, you want to come up here. You want to come left. I would grab all of these energy shield nodes. I'd come over here, go all the way down this cluster of increased damage for reduced reservation. That means we can have more minions. Then I would probably look at these. If I was getting any, I haven't tested it myself yet, but I would go down here and get the reduced physical damage and chaos resistance. I would come along here, get the gem slot, and I would get this final cluster up here on the left. Here you've got 25% increased damage, and on the other side, you've got increased life. Then you've got elemental resistances. I'd get all of this, and that's like all of your big minion nodes. Now, with the last points, you can come over here and you can get some intelligence. You can come along here and you get the gem slot. Now, if you are playing on a Infernalist, that's it. You're done. You're fine. If you're playing on a Lich, there is one node that I think there's only one node that gives you increases to mana, and it's this node here, 8% increase max mana. That will scale your Unholy Might, your big minion buff. So I'd grab that node here. It's going to be 3 more points. You can just take it out of like anything, like some energy shield maybe. 3 more points, and that's going to be a massive damage boost. On the Infernalist, we don't really have, there isn't any max life increases in the tree, so we don't have anything that we can get like that. But that's it. That's it. I'm gonna show the full 100 points in the build guide that's linked. But there's I can't show what I don't have. I'm not level 100. On the gem sockets, I'd just go for minion damage, minion cast speed. There's offering skills have increased duration. That's pretty good. And then increased energy shield is really good too. Anything minion is going to be a bonus there. But yeah, that's it. The only other thing to really show you is where I am. My stats aren't amazing. My resistances are like not great. I've got like 4,000 energy shield, 590 spirit. You need a lot of intelligence to use the end game spells. So you need like 200 intelligence, I think, to use the end game abilities. Yeah, like the storm mages are 191, so you need a lot of intelligence. I would say when you cap your intelligence to the point where you don't need any more intelligence, you want to be putting your points into strength. So you want to be turning these intelligence nodes into strength once you're at your cap, to kind of get to the point where your spells all work, and then take the rest out and put them into strength. Because for every point in strength, we get 2 life. So that gives us more spirit on a Infernalist. That's it. That's the build. I hope you like it. This started as just like me having fun, seeing how many minions I could get, and it ended up being a really powerful build that is just really good. I'm really surprised how good it is for bossing and clearing things where you're stationary, like clearing like rituals and things where like you don't have to travel really far. It's good in like the trials as well. So yeah, I really like it. So I wanted to share it. Let me know how many minions you get up to. Let me know if you get much better gear than me. You can get a lot more minions than me. So yeah, let me know how it goes. Let me know if you like it. If you have any things that you would change, anything that you would add in here as well, I'm curious. But this is the build so far. Thank you for watching. If you like the video, do consider subscribing. If you want to come hang out in the streams, you're more than welcome. Would love to see you there. But that's it from me. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.